Just a couple of quick ones. Burnley Turf asked, do you have a favourite opposition ground you like to visit in the Premier League? I mean, a fantastic stadium now. Is the one that you particularly like as a ground?
I think just because growing up, the power of the club was Manchester United. I think there's amazing stadiums now. Some of the new, I mean, Tottenham's obviously it wasn't a great day for us there, but the stadium's incredible. The Emirates is a great stadium, the Etihad and the likes. But I just think, you know, because of my era of growing up as a football player, the dominance of Manchester United, you know, the famous tag of the Theatre of Dreams and all that, I still think it's a very, very enjoyable experience going to Manchester United. I think we've had good results there, particularly this season, obviously an historic result, but we'd previously had good results there and good performances, actually. I mean, I remember when we played there our first time up, we were terrific. We lost 3-1, but we were terrific against, I think it was Louis van Gaal was the manager then. And we were excellent there and probably should have took something from the game. And I think we got done with a couple of corners that day, but I thought we were excellent there. So performance-wise, I think we performed well there at a very challenging place to go and play. And I've always thought, because of the history of the club, the manager there, Sir Alex, he always invites me up for a quick tipple afterwards. And I like the whole experience of that, you know, and what Manchester United have stood for and what they stand for today in the world of football.
Talking of venues and broadening out a little bit, Adrian Brooks asked, what's the best gig you've been to? Because we know you are a big music fan.
Well, for different reasons, I really, really love Kasabian. I'm very fortunate over the last few years to get to know the band a little bit, and particularly Serge Pizzorno, who I'd class as somewhat as a friend. I know his family a little bit, so that's been really good for me because it gives me an insight. It's not just the music, you understand. I like the whole, you know, how do you keep a band together, for example? How do you manage that? You know, I'm really intrigued by all this stuff, you know, and so then, for obvious reasons, I've seen them many times and had some brilliant days and nights and experiences. Behind that, I think some of the historic ones I've seen, I mean, I remember seeing U2. My wife, actually, her first ever concert was U2 in London when I was at Millwall. And it got literally about 10 seconds into Elevation, which was the first song, and she just burst into life. And I went, seriously, you're starting at the top here. So it's all downhill from here because U2 are awesome. Yeah. So... Yeah. Different bands for different reasons, you know, and the atmosphere it brings. Green Day, amazing. That's probably the most outstanding one I've seen because I like Green Day, but I'm not mad on them. I know some of their hits, of course. Stuart Pearce was mad for me to go and watch Green Day, and he was spot on. They knock it out of the park. Honestly, 2 hours of just smashing it. But I still marvel at some of the other stuff that my kids, I mean, you know, the quality of the sound and the quality of the music these bands are producing now. But Post Malone at Reading Festival was unbelievable. You know, things like that, which are not really my bag, but I thought fair play, absolutely outstanding. So I just like high quality performances in anything, particularly in music, particularly in football, obviously. But I just like seeing elite people work and how they go about it. So it's not just the music. I actually like to get a bit of a background on how it all works and an insight, if you like. So, yeah, it's more than just the music. I do like the whole feel of how they make bands operate and the level that's required to go and deliver it. And especially with Kasabian for so many years, don't forget. They've been doing it for years and still, you know, really, really at the top of their game.
Is music your biggest hobby away from football? And one question we had, and my apologies, I can't find the actual Twitterer. Were you good at any of the sports when you were a young man?
I'm pretty reasonable at golf. I played a lot of golf. I'm pretty reasonable at golf. Unfortunately, I've had a bad back. I had an operation last year. I haven't played as much golf as what I wanted to, and so I managed to do that. But I do like my golf. Yet again, I played at some great places as well, so I enjoy that. I played in some great charity events as well. Woney's a very good golfer, actually, my assistant. He's a better golfer.
Steve Stone. And Steve's a good golfer, isn't he?
Stoney's probably taking it now. He's probably better than us two, really, or more consistent, that's for sure. Woney's probably the most natural golfer. Stoney's probably the best at the current time. I tend to, as people will imagine, it is stereotypical. I tend to just whack it as hard as I can.
I've heard it said that you don't hang around on the golf course.
I must say I'm a speed golfer. Yeah, I'm not really there to. I don't really enjoy the let's just take hours taking a shot. That's not for me. I really love the game, but I don't play competitively. I play for fun. even I get invited to loads of sort of semi-serious stuff. I don't partake. The charity stuff I do is usually very relaxed. It's not whether I win or not. So yeah, golf is probably the other thing. Music's more of it's hard to explain. It's probably misrepresented. I don't like, so say I absolutely love Kasabian and what they do, but I don't know every word to every song. It's not like an obsessive thing. I just love the whole feel of it. I love gigs, absolutely love gigs, it must be said. I've been to all sorts as well. I must go back to Metallica. I went to Metallica, not because I like amazingly into them. I got invited. I thought, sure, let's go to Metallica. I've seen the Stranglers many times. Back in the day, I saw Big Country. Unfortunately, the lead singer passed away, but I saw Big Country many times, Stiff Little Fingers. So I've seen small gigs as well as big gigs, not just the superpowered stuff. So yeah, probably golf, music, family, because I live away a lot. So family, this has been the positive, if there is such a thing, of what's going on at the minute. I've been home for a while and seen the kids. Don't think my wife would agree with that, by the way. But so yeah, they're the main things. Yeah, sorry. Back to
the football.
Yeah.
PW asks, what's more magic, Dwight McNeil's left foot or his fingers? I think he's alluding to the way he runs, perhaps, and the way he celebrates. But Dwight's been very special.
Yeah, no, he has. He's doing very nicely. He's got very, very, what's the word? Like, technically, he's got a very varied way of playing, particularly with his left foot, obviously. But he can use the ball in many different ways, and he can strike the ball in many different ways. And he's very technically minded with that, and he's using it very wisely. But the main thing for me is he's a humble lad, and he's working very hard. And I think if he maintains and continues to do that and keeps pushing himself, as I said many times, he will go on to bigger clubs than us, and it's not to do us down, by the way. It's just a reality. I think, the superpowers eventually will recognise not just his ability, but I think he's, for a young player, don't forget, I think he's just knocked out, I think it's 51 or 52 Premier League games back to back. I mean, people forget how difficult that is when you're young.
And I think he's
in a big part as well. He's not just out there, he's performing, he's delivering. No, but really, really pleased for Dwight and what he's doing at the moment.
And Margaret Brecknell asks, are there any players in the 23s at the moment who are close to getting a call up to the first team squad?
There's a few been travelling with us, that. There's a few been on the bench this year. So I think there's an alignment there. I think Dwight has helped with that. It's always been there. We've always been waiting for the one that is ready. But just to give you a view of it, it's not as easy. It's almost like, why aren't we playing young players? The Premier League is very, very difficult, very difficult. And you can break a player before you make them. If you put them in the Premier League too quickly and it's miles too much for them, it doesn't mean they're a bad player. It's just too much and the timing's wrong. With Dwight, we felt the timing was appropriate. People sometimes forget he hadn't even had a loan spell, which I do like. I think it's nice if players can get a feel of what professionals.
And that seems to be working well at the moment this year, doesn't it? That we moved that forward as a club. Some of the lads are playing in Leagues 1 and 2. League 2 and
yeah, and I think that's been important. But with Dwight's case, we put him straight in, and he's delivered. So the alignment's been there. We've been waiting for the one who can really go into the first team, which is Dwight currently, of course. But that hopefully will be more clear-minded for the rest behind that, who are all looking for their chance, because it does encourage them to think, right, okay, you will play if you're playing well enough and you're good enough. You will get your chance to play. And I think that's become more obvious with the emergence of Dwight McNeil and others this year have been in and around it.
Back to yourself on the touchline. Rick Ford asks, do you think players can hear you during a game? And I know famously some players might cock a deafen if the gaffer's given them some advice they don't want to hear.
Yeah, there is that when they're about 4 yards away and I'm bellowing and they're just like somehow don't seem to manage to hear me. I do remind them of that now and again. No, I think the obvious one is down periods. If there's an injury or there's a stoppage, you can definitely affect it then, absolutely. There are times during a game as well when it's a quicker stoppage, but, in the flow of a game, like a free kick or a throw-in rather than injury, where you can still affect it. And there are times some of the simple shouts that people often, particularly away fans like, when I shout out, is just really prompting the back four, and it does work. They're used to hearing it in training, so they hear it on the training pitch, and it's only a simple shout, but they do hear it. So yes is the answer. I don't think you can do it with as much information. Often I keep it very, very simple, other than the injury period where someone, the whole team might come over for a drink and stuff like that. You can give a few prompts then. But you're only looking for real short burst keywords and key messages that I've heard in training. So not loads and loads and loads of information, because no, you couldn't take too much on, but keywords and key reminders and little hot words and reminders, they can remember that, I'm sure. And it does, I believe it just jolts them into what we need them to do.
Mr. D asks rather cheekily, obviously at the minute you've got a bit of time for gardening, I know you've been jet washing, so would the lawn at your home be awarded the Mikel Arteta seal of approval?
The what, sorry?
Would the lawn be awarded the Mikel Arteta seal of approval? The length of the grass and you know about garden, is it in line with Turf Moor and as things should be? And on a serious note, the pictures
well, in this, I don't really get involved in that sort of stuff, as you know. But to be factual about it, the amazing thing was I didn't bother with it, as you know. But factually, the Premier League allow you to, just for an insight into the fund, the Premier League allow you to have the grass at 30 millimetres. The grass that day was actually 26 millimetres. I double checked and triple checked that because of the comments that were made. And the thing that we found most, well, for obvious for Burnley fans who live in Burnley, the things we found the most, what's the word? Like not. I don't want to choose I want to choose the right word. The thing we found very amusing, let's say, is Burnley people will know the chance of having a dry pitch at Turf Moor at this time of the year are almost 1,000,000 to 1. Seriously, it'd been raining for about 8 weeks solid, I'm sure of it. So we were like, that was the thing that we found the funniest, really. We were like, okay, yeah, you could argue the length of the pitch, that's fine, but you can't say about dry pitches in Burnley at this time of the year. It's just non-existent, you know. We were like, so it's fair to say that at that one we were a bit like, not quite sure on that. But no, it's a fact, 26 mil. The grass was 26 mil, and we're allowed to have it 30, which next time we play, we'll have it 31.
Excellent.
It's a bit of fun, by the way. If the press get hold of this, it's just for fun. There's no reason to make a story out of it. I know you want to, but it's just a bit of fun.
I think pitches are having to be looked after at the minute, aren't they? You know, that will come in, you know, our grounds working in isolation, but that is key work, because if we start again, you can't have a pitch that's...
Well, yet again, I think what's important, you know, because we've got this, excuse me, this time to share some thoughts with the fans or those who want to listen to this. So to give you an idea of it, so the idea of, remember you used to have like home and away and you used to have the differences in the grounds. Well, every pitch, so some people would come to Turf Moor and, you know, you've heard them say the tight pitch there. You're not allowed. So every pitch is the same size. You have to have the grass under 30 mil. There's so many requirements now that actually are different to when I played, that ironically, they say they want a level playing field. Well, if they want a level playing field, let's all have the same budgets. Let's all have the same amount of money to spend. So, you know, you've got to be careful. I think the Premier League got to be careful who they're gearing this up for. You know, because by having all the pitches the same size, and guess what? They're UEFA size. So guess who they're appealing to? They're appealing to the teams who are in UEFA-style competition, European competitions. I've got no gripe about that. They're the rules, and we've adhered to the rules. But it is amusing when you hear people say these things about Turf Moor, about our pitch. And we kind of like it because it means they're taking us seriously. Quite obviously, it means they are taking Burnley seriously. And I think that's good for us as a club and as a town.
Talking Burnley things, Bradley asks, have you ever had a Benny and Hot? Our local delicacy.
I have, on many occasions, in the sense of usually it'll involve the Kilbys somewhere. Big fans of it. No, joking apart, I've had Benny and Hart around the club and in the boardroom. It's not something that I you know, go out and buy or anything, but I've been offered it and drank it many times. And by the way, I do quite like it. And this season at Christmas, I always try and do a little something for the staff, as you know. And
kindly do. Yeah. I can show you my bottle. It's through the back.
Yeah, we got everyone a bottle of Benedictine in a nice Burnley box. So yeah, that was just a little gesture. So yeah, I do understand where it lives, and I do understand, and I know a bit of the history, and I know the fact that I think regionally we're the biggest consumers of it. I think
that's right. Apart from that one little patch in France, I think, where it originated.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And of course, the other insight is there has been times when I've felt like drinking a whole bottle when things are not going quite as well, let's say. But I've resisted the chance. I've resisted the opportunity.
Yeah, well, I might crack mine open when we come out of isolation, and celebrate. Thomas Pickles asks, have you been ever close to shaving off the goatee or going full beard? And as a younger man, when you played, did you have a full beard at Chesterfield any time? I'm trying to think.
No, I had no anything. And then when I was younger, me and a lad I used to play with called Forrest, this was, an apprentice who turned as a young pro called Craig Boardman. We used to have a picture of Gianluca Vialli in our digs, and he had a goatee, and we used to always go, I'm going to grow that. So as we got older, we grew what we used to call it a Vialli. So we grew a Vialli. And then I got rid of it, and then, because obviously when it was younger, it was really wispy like you do when you're a very young man. We're probably talking about 19 around then, 19-ish, 18, 19, and then kind of let it go. And then there was a period when myself, Nicky Law and Darren Carr at Chesterfield decided to shave our heads. Literally went, should we just shave our heads? And there was a barber's down the road, so we went down, shaved our heads. And that was the last time I ever had it long, because he's been shaved ever since then. I can't remember what year. It's got to be 93, 94, around then. And then the funny thing about the goatee is that I had it for a while. Now and again, by the way, just for fun, at friends' houses or on holiday, I'll go upstairs, have a shower and come down without it. And everyone's staring at me a bit weird. And then they go, oh my goodness, you shaved your goatee off. It grows back very quick, but I've done that a few times. And then the old favourite, the wife, when I grew it and I stuck with it, she went, I don't really like it. And then I shaved on, she went, I don't really like it. And I went, that's good then. So then I had to grow it back again. So there's always that one as well.
Excellent. Talking of exotic things, if we can say, when we went to Europe, George Poole is asking your best memories from our European trips in 2018. 3 very different ones, but memorable for all different reasons, weren't they?
Yeah, I think, excuse me, I think probably Olympiacos away, just because that is one mad place. The twists and tales of going through that, and in a strange way, the atmosphere there is that harsh, and all sorts getting thrown at you and on the pitch, and all sorts of things going on. It almost gets to the point of humour. You're almost like, it's bizarre. So I think that one. The strangeness off the pitch, the strangeness on the pitch, the strange decisions that occurred on the pitch, all of the odd things that you'd probably heard about European football and its extreme, if you like, were on show. So I thought that was quite interesting. I enjoyed them all for different reasons. The first one, of course, that we had a tough start. Everyone knows that. Both us as a team and in Europe, going up to Aberdeen. Because then, of course, you've got the Battle of Britain and all that sort of stuff.
They were 3 tough games, weren't they?
Oh, unbelievably tough. Yeah, absolutely. And we had to earn the right. And I thought my only bugbear is when we came back to Turf Moor, I thought we were excellent against Olympiacos. And
I was going to ask you that. Is that was that a frustration and a slight annoyance, perhaps, because you did enough to win that game, and that would have been a fail?
Well, we were as good as we'd probably could play particularly first half. I mean, it could have been 3-0 at half.
Almost a perfect performance had the ball gone in the net.
To try and turn it around. And so that was, on reflection, it was a bugbear. But also, when you look at that season, it was so tough for us, that first half of the season. Who would have known it might have gone the wrong way after Christmas, whereas going out of it, no one's got a crystal ball, but coming out of that competition, and regathering ourselves probably kept us in the Premier League last season. So, there's a balance to that. And it is uncanny how them early start games, it's strange. It puts teams out of kilter. Look at Wolves this year. And Wolves, I'm a big fan of Wolves, but look how much they struggled in the first 8-10 games of the season. And they've recovered it and done very well to recover it. But they were on the cusp at one point. And you wouldn't remember, but it's too detailed, but they had a couple of really lucky results where they come through some Premier League games and managed to get all 3 points, and that kind of settled them down, and then they started rising again.
Well, very against ourselves, the late penalty, that point was big to them, wasn't it?
Well, exactly, and they were really rocking. They were struggling with it, and it's really difficult. It is very, very difficult to get the organisation, the recovery. Wolves, like ourselves, they run with a small squad, and he often picks the same players. And like I say, they've done very well this season to come through it kind of quicker than we did come through it, but they've come through it quicker than we did at that time. But yeah, so a lot of different varying goods, bads and indifference about being in Europe. But the main one, the overriding one, is an amazing achievement. It's still got to be seen as that, and I know the fans see it as that. 50-odd years of not having European football and coming back into European football. I think that is a fantastic achievement.